The sound you hear is what some experts claim to be a Bigfoot scream. Recorded in the state of Washington by a group of campers in 1971, it is regarded as the highest quality audio of the creature ever captured.
Hello! Welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. We're glad to have you stop by. We'd also like to take this time to invite you to share your encounter. You can send your stories to the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, where we will feature your story with all of the respect that it deserves. So send your stories in, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and your great stories soon. Welcome back, everybody, to Bigfoot Real Encounters. This is your host, Chris. I'm starting to get some really nice comments in the comment section below. They're actually quite complimentary, some of them. Thank you very much, folks. I really appreciate that. Keep those up. I'm just kidding. But do comment in the comment section below. It helps the channel out. I think today we're going to take a look at some states in the country that you would not imagine would have Bigfoot encounters. But hey, they do, and there's a history of it in there. So we're going to go take a look up in the northeast section of the country. And in particular, we're going to look at the state of Connecticut today. Now, our very first incident takes place in the year 1968 in November. It's in Litchfield County, Connecticut. This reads, "This sighting happened when I was a young boy of about 7 or 8 years of age. It was a cloudy fall day. I was playing near a window in a second-story farmhouse when something caught my eye. I watched as a hairy 9-foot creature walked uphill across the front yard. It had a huge stride, as if it were in a hurry. It kept looking back as it walked with its long swinging arms. When it turned its head, it had to also turn its shoulders to be able to look at a 90-degree angle. I stood watching it walk along when it appeared to look up and make eye contact with me for only a second. It never broke its stride. Its eyes glowed like a raccoon or a cat at night when light is shined in their eyes. What frightened me was that it was still daylight. Now, I didn't get really freaked until it disappeared around the side of the house. That's when I ran into the kitchen where my parents were playing cards with another couple. I tried to get their attention, but they didn't have time for a whiny kid who wanted a cookie or candy. It wasn't until they escorted me out the front door and slammed it in my face that they figured out something was wrong. There was no way I was going to hang outside with a monster in the area. I flipped out, screaming, beating, kicking the door, and crying for them to let me in. It was only a couple or 3 seconds, and they knew something was terribly wrong. They let me in, and I explained what I had just seen through my tears. My father and his friend went outside to look around, probably thinking they would find a loose cow. I'll never forget the look on their faces when they saw the footprints that dwarfed their own. My dad's friend was a tall man of around 6'2" or 3. When he stretched his legs to step from one footprint to another, it was next to impossible. Their disbelief had turned to fear. They did, however, want to follow the tracks that went across a field that had been plowed recently. I freaked out again. They seemed to understand this time. They decided that going in a car would be better. We drove down a road a short distance, found where it crossed and went up a hill. The tracks disappeared, and that seemed fine with everyone. I asked my father about it several years ago. He doesn't even remember. His ex-friend might. I know his name, but it was a long time ago. Ever since this happened, I've had a big interest in Bigfoot. How terrifying would that be for an 8-year-old? Eyes glowing and it's still daytime out? My goodness. This kind of touches on something that I've mentioned in prior videos about parents listening to their children when something is wrong. This is something that I cannot stress enough. Parents, today, you have children, listen to them. There may be something real that is happening. Okay, maybe it's not a monster or Bigfoot. Maybe it's something worse. Maybe it's a human. We do have human predators out there. Okay, parents? Pay attention to your children. Don't just brush them off. Alright, that's my admonishment for the day. Wow. Now here we are, Connecticut, very small state, up in the New England part of the United States, and nobody would ever associate that area with Bigfoot. And here we are, back in 1968. And of course, 1968, that's right around the same era as the Patterson-Gimlin film being taken and made. And so many folks were not even ever aware of that film at the time. And maybe they had heard some local stories of wild men or hairy men at the time, but as far as widespread knowledge of Bigfoot like today, no way. Today we have the internet and stories and finding Bigfoot on TV and many other things, and so many people are aware of the legend of Bigfoot, let's just call it that, and it is possible for people to copy other stories. But of course, should you send a story in and take the time to do this and risk ridicule at your own expense, we will take you at your word. So send your stories in, okay? Your stories count. What happened to you matters, all right? We'll do it verbatim. We can keep you anonymous if you wish. Or I can just call you Bob if you want. So, before we get on to any other encounters here, I do want to take this time to encourage you to like, subscribe to my channel, so that you, and hit the bell icon so that you are notified when other videos are posted, and share these with friends and family. Also, check out the links in the description below. There are some links to some Bigfoot related items on Amazon. As an Amazon affiliate, should you decide to purchase one of these, I would receive a small commission. It would help my channel greatly. I might be able to get some better equipment, and who knows, maybe some other video or sound equipment, so that we can get some real good quality going on here. But regardless, leave some comments. We love it when people do leave comments. We can interact with you. Alright, we have another one here in Litchfield County. It's in summer of 2014, actually. This reads, "It was early evening and our golden retriever was barking loudly. This was not unusual, as there are many deer behind our house. Our backyard consists of a large 20-acre field leading into a wooded area. When I went outside to call the dog in, and I saw 6 or 7 deer running like heck, like they were being chased. I looked behind them, and in the tall grass, a large, hairy animal was chasing after them, running on 2 legs. It was towering above the grass, which was around 4 feet tall at the time. We see occasional black bears, but this was like no bear I had ever seen before. I am convinced it was a Sasquatch. Then, later in the season, I was outside at around 9 o'clock with a friend. We had a small fire going. The coyotes were yipping in the far corner, and in the opposite back corner, there was a large screech-like sound, and the coyotes went dead silent. About a month after my sighting, as me and my friend were hitting golf balls into my field, we saw suspicious activity lower down in the field. After about 2 minutes, we realized it was a squatch. It stood up and towered over the grass, which was about 5 feet tall at the time. We stood there watching it for about 5 minutes until it retreated to the woods. The hairy creature was clearly walking on 2 feet. I have no doubt in my mind we saw a Sasquatch. After talking to my dad, who has lived on our property for years, he too had seen a squatch years ago as a boy. Wow. And there you go. People just at their home and the Sasquatch are there, doing their thing, chasing the deer, and even watching them hit golf balls. Like I have said in other videos, you don't have to go 100 miles into the wilderness to have an encounter with a Sasquatch person. Yes, they are people. They do seek us out. They watch us. They come to us. They live just on the edges of society. They'll raid dumpsters. They'll peek in the windows. They'll slap the houses. They'll chase the deer through your backyard. I mean, it's amazing. And so many people have had these encounters and seen them that go not reported. And there's somebody under the sound of my voice right now who has had encounters. Some benign like this, some of them rather scary, I'm sure. And some of you may be traumatized over it. It's okay. You can tell your stories. You can get the information out so that others may beware. I'll read your story verbatim for you. We'll get that out. You just go ahead and send them in. It'll be okay. All right. Let's see if we can find another one here. All right. This ought to be a good one. It's from the year 1953 in New Haven County, Connecticut, in the summer, the month of August. Okay. It reads, "This took place many years ago. However, I have lived with a vision of this creature all my life and have told no one about it. I was visiting a relative's cottage on Housatonic Lake near Indian Wells State Park in the White Hills region of Shelton, Connecticut. Back then, in 1953, this area was not inhabited very densely and still is not today. There were 3 of us, all age 5 to 6, and we left the cottage and headed for the railroad track, which ran along the Housatonic River and lake, to pick wild blackberries to put in our cereal. It was about 1/3 mile from the cottage. As we were busy picking, a large 6.5 to 7 foot tall creature came down the steep hillside and proceeded to walk northward along the railroad tracks, staring at the 3 of us and moving at a fast walk. I remember the length of its stride, about 5 feet, and its arms, which looks like they were almost to its knees. The body was covered in a dark brown grayish color hair, and it had the face of a primate. The hair was shorter than Bigfoots I've seen on TV, Patterson film, and its body was thinner than those also. We ran back to the cottage to tell our parents, who dismissed this as children's fantasy. Here we go again, folks. This event took place before there was ever any mention of anything like Bigfoot, especially in this area. See what I mean, folks? The parents just dismissed something that the kids were trying to tell them. This, in my mind, is just an unacceptable thing. If your kids, especially young kids, are trying to tell you of something that happened to them, don't dismiss them out of hand. There is probably something to it. Maybe it's not what they imagined, but you need to check it out. Okay, folks? Because just in case, all right? We have children go missing all the time. I just, on my Facebook page yesterday, noticed that there's a little blonde-haired girl, probably about 6 or 7 years old, down in the hills of Tennessee, been missing for several days. This stuff happens, okay? So, when children come to you with an urgent story, and they're upset or they're scared or excited or something, give them the time of day, pay attention. You don't want to be sorry that you didn't. All right, folks? Plus, you want to keep the trust of those children. That'll be important throughout the rest of their life. Mark my words. All right. We took a look at Connecticut. We didn't think that this part of the country might have Bigfoot, but I guess they do. And quite a history of them, back into the 1950s. So, great stories. Share, like, subscribe, check out our links in the description below. Leave some comments for us. And send in your encounters. Until the next one. Once again, another great story. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your encounter. Email us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story is very important. We will treat it with the respect that it deserves. Also, be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Thanks once again. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Watch out for our next video. Maybe we'll feature yours. Have a great day.